How you doing, ladies and gentlemen?
We're good.
There you go. Technical difficulties. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? I'm here with my good friend Jared Petrassi, and I've been wanting to do this interview for quite some time now. Jared, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Good. Yeah, this is long overdue. I think you've been talking about this since I was competing, about 6, 7 years ago. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been a minute. So, Jared, why don't you let everyone know who is Jared Petrassi?
All right. Yeah. Well, first off, I grew up in a small town outside Orange. It's in Orange County, New York, and it's about 50 miles outside Manhattan. Um, Sucked at every single sport growing up, soccer, baseball, didn't matter what it was, became a runner. They had to start lifting weights before track practice. I liked that a lot better. I said, screw the running, this sucks. And I started hitting the weights. I thought hitting the weights would also help me get some girls. Also didn't help. Never went to any proms, asked multiple girls. Didn't work. So when I was a senior in high school, instead of going to the prom, I went and competed in an NPC show. I didn't know there was natural bodybuilding. I just knew there was a show an hour away. Went, did it, got fucking steamrolled by a bunch of these juiced out kids. Next week, went into an even bigger show, the Atlantic States. 5 guys in that show that won their classes were on the Olympia stage 3 years later. Seeing these guys pump up backstage was absolutely crazy. If I thought I got my ass kicked the week before, I went there and just got crushed. Some of these guys were teen nationals. I was 17. I don't even think I knew what leg training was. Like I sort of just did some calf raises and some leg extensions. Fast forward, I go to college, team up with Vitargo sponsorship. It was a carbohydrate product, still around, new ownership, whatever. Met a couple college buddies up in upstate New York, SUNY Brockport, Kevin Shosik, Kyle Glickman, Lester Gale. Nick Trick, a couple guys did pretty well. Kyle Glickman's probably the most successful as far as fitness goes. Out of Rochester, owns his own gym, certified strength conditioning coach, good friend of mine, groomsman at my wedding, one of my closest friends. We didn't know much what we were doing back then. This is 10 years ago, so we're going based off the bodybuilding forums, a lot of bro science, this, that, and the other thing. Compete again, IMBF show, Northern State Supernatural, worst fucking run show ever, period. It's been run bad for any time I've ever been there. Lights suck, judging sucks, and yeah, just all around horrible show. I don't know why we all kept doing it year after year, and I don't know how she still gets people in seats. Shitty trophies, just literally just horrible. Went there, looked better, didn't know like anything about tanning, didn't have any guidance with tanning. Went on stage, 2 coats of protein, looked washed out, probably cost me a couple placings. Lost to a freak, Mike Charles, who's now like trying to get his IFBB pro card. Freak. Took 2 years off. Dirty bulked hard in college with Kyle. Used to go 7, 8, 9,000 calories a day. Made some progress, competed the following year. Took 3 second places and lost to a Western New York freak with Marvin Hunley, who's beaten like just about all of my friends.
Yep.
Came pretty close to getting my pro card that year in the NGA, I think. Took another year off, graduated college, was waiting to get called for the police academy of the city. Was personal training, working at Nike. I was like, let me give this one more go. Sort of did a 16-week crash prep and got shredded, just absolutely shredded. It was when you won your pro card. We were both dieting together. It was fun. And you know what? I think if I had someone to diet with again and was going through it, maybe I would compete again. But I don't know. Not getting on with that a little later. Did 2 shows, one up, the Itamasi show up in Rochester. Well run. They know what they're doing. The lights are good. Trophies are good. They do special awards, goodie bags, everything. No problems with them. They great show. They have good guest posing. The brothers, the father, they will guest pose, whatever. Lost to a guy who went on to win his pro card next week, then competed a pro show. Freak. Took second. I don't know. Whatever. 2 weeks later, dieted even harder. And lost to a kid who he's WNBF pro now, and he's placed like top 3 at like 5 or 6 pro shows. And he didn't win that show I did. It was an IMBF show down in the Bronx. The guy who won that show went to place 3rd at the Worlds or 2nd at the Worlds in heavyweight. His name's Hashim Evans. Mutant 230 on stage, shredded hamstrings, just absolute monster. So after that, that's middle October, November of 2013. Chill out, blow up 30 pounds 1 week. can't feel my ankles, just exploded, didn't care. And went to the police academy in January 2014. That was 6 months, came out, lost all the fat in the academy from running, push-ups, still going to the gym, hour and a half each way into the city because of traffic, not sleeping much, doing all that while dating my girlfriend at the time, long distance, move out, we get an apartment together, and now I'm a cop in Harlem, which is in Manhattan, it's one of the 5 boroughs in New York City. Crazy place to work. Saw a lot of crazy shit. Saw a lot of guys that were crackheads that probably should have been WNBF pros if they had any guys. Just absolute freak genetics, and we'll get to that type of stuff later too. Fast forward, it's like 2016. I'm like, maybe I'll give it another go. I diet for like 12 weeks from like the summer till December. A lot of people don't know. I have a few pictures. Got pretty lean. Some glute striations started to come in. Veins in the legs. Triceps starting to get striated. Me and my partner get called to a fight in the Upper West Side. We run up 10 flights of stairs. We get there, and there's like 20 people in the hallway beating the shit out of each other. And I'm like, all right, that's it. I need all the energy I could have to break this up. I'm not getting involved. I don't want to fight. I don't know what they're fighting about. I don't want to be in the middle of it. Let them fight it out. When they're done, we pick the winner and the loser. Winner. Winner gets arrested. Loser goes to jail. But anyway, so that was like the decision at my point where I knew until I could get into an administrative full-time position that competing is not in the works. And there's some guys who compete, they do it. I think there's some guys in the department using drugs. That's not what I care about. But just, I knew, feeling like I sort of looked about 6 to 8 weeks out. It was like January. So I was gunning for like a March, April show. And that second I knew I was like, I need all my energy. Because my life can be on the line. And not that other people don't have important jobs. I always spoke about this, but like being a cop in the big city, that's different than being a cop in a small town or wherever the case may be. So I do need my energy. I'm still, to this day now, fast forward, married, house. I got a four-week-old baby. My lifting's never been better. Strongest I've ever been. Pretty lean. I always stay all year round in striking distance. I consider 16 weeks or less out for the upper body for sure, and the lower body would take some time. But if I needed to, I could do a show in 16 weeks, and I think probably win a pro card and never be competitive on a pro stage. But that's not here nor there. So right now I'm a sergeant in the city. I got promoted 8 months ago. I was the youngest sergeant until someone got promoted a couple classes after me, came on. I was 22, got promoted at 27. And there was a kid, I think he might have came on at 21, got promoted at 26. So long story short, got promoted as fast as I could in 5 years. And now I work in Manhattan again, Upper West Side. Love going to work, but like I sent you a video yesterday, I'm not even gonna get into it. I went into an apartment. I never seen any shit like that. It was just disgusting.
Yeah.
So like I said, competing is on the back burner now, but I still follow the sport. I was so happy you were competing this year. It sort of amped me up a little bit. As you've seen, I put some videos up on Instagram for my 900 followers.
Yeah, I watch you lunge, Jared.
I'm still crushing it, man. Like I said, I'm still going pretty hard, and I think I still train harder than most people that compete. And I still think I take it more seriously than most people that compete. So that's just a little bit of who I am: former natural competitor, police sergeant, husband, father, huge into family. So that's a little background.
Yeah, Jared, I give you a lot of credit to do what you do day in and day out on a daily basis. It was a dream of mine to become a cop. I just, I took a different path, but like I look up to people like you, so I thank you first and foremost.
Yeah, it was in my blood. My dad was a sergeant in the city, and my mom was an administrator. She is still an administrator in a school district near here, and I had a good upbringing. So, I found that my dad told me it was a backup plan. I wasn't planning on this. He's like, hey, you could do this. You can make pretty good money, health benefits, retire very young. I was like, all right, how do you sign me up? And for the most part, it's been really, really good. Sort of going through a tough time in the city right now. There's some weird stuff happening, administrative and criminal justice reform. Not getting into that, but just it's a tough time right now. So But for me, it's been, like I said, very good. So I'm very happy. And it's there's been some nights. The other night, I went in. There's a marathon in the city. I went into work at 2 o'clock. I came home the next night at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I came back 36 hours later, hour commute, and then slept. Went to the gym, crushed chest, and and that's why I'll get into some of the supplements that I take and whatever, and why I think some things that natural bodybuilding tests for is you're still natural, all right.
Yeah. Okay. You know what, Jared? Let me ask you this: what do you miss, and what don't you miss about competing and getting stage lean?
What I missed was, and I guess you could call it maybe like when I was in college, it was just, I think, and I'll even go as far as say Western New York, Rochester, Buffalo has a very big fitness community. Just out of some people that I know, some plugs, Justin Draper in Buffalo, guys killing it, every freaking aspect. Like I said, my friend Kyle Glickman. I got a friend that owns a gym up in Niagara Falls, powerlifting gym. Just crazy. There's just a ton of fitness is just important in Western New York. And I think down where I am right now, because I'm about an hour outside the city, it's a cow town. There's nothing but cows. My gym has horses outside. It's crazy. People wouldn't really think that I work in the city and that there's like cows and horses around. But it's fitness isn't important down here. There's not a lot of good gyms. I'm currently planning out my home gym build with Rogue right now. So I miss the camaraderie of being able to go to the gym and find people to lift with, find good gyms. That doesn't make the athlete or bodybuilder, but it helps, when you have people like-minded like you. Now I go to the gym. I'm the only one that ever competed, really. Pound for pound, still one of the strongest guys in the gym. So I don't really have anybody pushing me, which I like. So every now and then I'll take a trip to Mount Vernon Barbell where Larry Wheels is trained, or Bev Francis out in Long Island, or just somewhere I'll try to find a gym where there's competitors or whatever, and just sort of pumps me up. But that's what I miss. What I don't miss, the feelings of just being addicted to taking pictures of yourself, looking in the mirror, being hungry, looking at menus, developing an unhealthy relationship with food, which I think 95% of competitors have at some point, still have, whatever. It took me a while to get past it. Definitely don't have a problem now. I'll eat 3,500 calories a day. I've not tracked a macro aside from one random day about 6 months ago. I was like, how much am I eating? It was about 3,700 calories. So roughly, 500 carbs, between 200 and 300 protein, somewhere in that range. I don't really care. And, And then again, probably around 100 fat, give or take. There's some days the other night, like I said, I worked crazy hours, daylight saving, got screwed in the middle. So that day was like a lower calorie day. But what I don't miss is now how social media's changed it. Everyone's filtering pictures. If you look fucking sick, just leave it. Don't filter your picture, because you're going to show up on stage and the filtering might work for, to get you clients, help your business. That's all good and great. But then don't go on stage, take fourth, fifth, sixth, don't come in first, and then complain about it. And that's not directed at one person. I see that constantly, whether it's NPC, the IFBB, natural federations, the filtering. Instagram ruined what people's condition truly is. There were no filters on Instagram. And if there were, when I was competing, my first couple of pictures I put on Instagram had 5 likes, 3 likes. I had shredded glutes, piano wire hamstrings. I wasn't, like Whitaker or like Brett Freeman or Greg Trombley, but I was lean for a 22-year-old. I was just full spring.
Yes,
man.
you were. Yes, you were.
And I think getting to that lean point just mentally, just take the food out of it. It's just, you're so focused. It's just not healthy. Fitness is supposed to enhance your life. And that's something Kyle Glickman and me talk about all the time. So what I miss, camaraderie. What I don't miss, filters, the addictive personality to the mirror, food, this, that. And anyone who says that you could have balance in your life or whatever, no, believe that. When you're 2 weeks out from a show, I don't care what you're saying. You're thinking about one thing and one thing only. You could try to focus it elsewhere, but at the end of the day, you're hungry 24/7. I don't believe that anyone that's truly been in stage condition, striated triceps, glutes, quads, sucked out cheeks, when you feel cold all the time. Don't tell me you're not thinking about when the stage is. I just don't believe that. I don't care how good your genetics are. Sorry.
Yeah, they're full of shit, and they're lying to themselves, but they're trying to get through that day by lying to themselves. But you're 100% right. Jared, you touched earlier on that word genetics. go into that. Do you think? Well, for one, do you think you have good genetics for the sport, and do you think genetics are important in bodybuilding,
I
whether it
think,
be NPC or natural?
yeah, I think it makes all the difference. I think Phil Heath said it, that great genetics beats hard work all the time. 100, couldn't agree more. 95% of the time. I think Brett Freeman, Greg Trombley, Brian Whitaker, these type of guys who've taken their condition to that alien level. And I don't know how they manage, balance it. Brett seems, I've talked to him all the time, seems to balance it pretty good. Greg Trombley gets on stage, he's doing backflips and smiling. And, Brian Whitaker, I met him once at Arnold about 5, 6, it's been longer than that, 8 years ago with Ron Parmenter. And, he seemed really, really nice, down to earth. So with the genetics, I don't know how these guys balance it, but I think whether you're in the NPC or natural, genetics is everything, just like basketball, football, baseball. And I think the thing is, you could go from being a football player with great genetics or a wrestler or whatever, and sort of laterally work your way into bodybuilding and dominate based off your genetics from another sport. Whereas someone like maybe you or me who sucked at something, or I don't know if you sucked at sports. I'm just going with the assumption that maybe you did, sort of like me. And then we started lifting weights and we were sort of okay at it. And then when we got into stage, we looked okay the first go around, and then the progress was just so much slower. So I think genetics is 95% of it. And, I'm not going to get into certain things, but there's some people who have better genetics than others, and it shows. And, the muscle belly is just round, full, freaky looking. There's a kid right now, I think he's doing the worlds. I think he won the heavyweight last year or the year before. Something Kendall, he's out in California. Guy looks like Sean Roden. He looks like Roden, 23 years old, little waist, huge quads, big biceps, shoulders, freak. Siobhan, Sam, these guys just, Garino, if I'm saying his name right, just looks insane.
Meshach's another one.
Mutant, Phil Ricardo.
Yeah.
Just some really unbelievable talent at the natural level. And, so anyone that says natural bodybuilding is dying, Phil Ricardo is like 112 years old, and he's about to win he's about to come.
Yo, I'm definitely gonna tag him in this one.
And he's been like, I must have watched his Superman posing routine or whichever one it was a million times. Just military guy, family guy, hardworking, always positive and upbeat. I don't know anyone who has anything bad to say about him. And for real, he's probably close to 50, and he looks awesome. Like, just, that's the type of role models you need. The guy loses, he's just as happy. Like, you just need more people like that. Another one, Garino, Mackie, Iron Lord on Instagram. I don't think he needs a plug because he's got like 50,000 people following him, but just
crazy.
He's awesome. Crazy. He comes, whenever he says, is just always comes off like such a gentleman. And but some of these guys have real good genetics, obviously. And I'm not saying they don't work hard, because to get striated glutes, that's not genetics. It's I think some people, the way it looks and the indents they have, it might be more genetics, but to get to that point where you have like a striated tricep or a striated glute, you need to know what you're doing in the gym. You know what I mean? For the most part, unless you're like that 1%, like I said, when I worked in Harlem, some of these guys are homeless, on drugs, crackheads, whatever. They probably not a good meal in their life. They look like they could hop on stage. And I joke with them sometimes. Now we wear body cameras, so I would love to see who's watching my body camera, because every now and then we'll be trying to help a guy, get him shelter, food, whatever the case may be. You might be having an episode, hey man, you need help? And so I'll be like, what do you do for your shoulders? Because like they're cross-striated. I've never seen anything like that. And he goes, oh no, I used to play high school football. And okay, so you haven't lifted a weight in 30 years and you look like that. So genetics, I think it's a huge factor, but it's not just our sport. Everyone likes to say, they try to call out fake natties or say this person has good genetics, or if his genetics are better than mine, he's cheating, blah, 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 blah. LeBron James was probably going to be a pro athlete no matter what, just something. He was going to pick up a ball, whether it was a soccer, a baseball, football. He was going to be a pro athlete. Aaron Judge for the Yankees, I think he played 2 college sports. A lot of these pro athletes, the guy on Arizona, the quarterback, Kyler Murray, he got drafted by the A's and the Cardinals. Like, what? Like, so yeah. I think genetics plays a huge role in it, and they're going to rise to the top, and it's just going to be easier for them, in my opinion. I'm not bodybuilding. There's nothing about it that's easy, but it just might be a little bit less of a grind. The fact that some guys could compete year after year after year and still make progress. It's incredible. I've taken 6 years off. I feel like I look the same. You know.
Jared, let's say hypothetically speaking, your life is it's perfect. Maybe you're not chasing criminals or and your child's at an age where he can take care of himself. Your wife's everything is 100% where it's got to be. And let's say you were to compete again, okay? What would you do differently now that you did or didn't do back then?
Training would be more. One of the things I've focused on training is not just lifting, powerlifting style, which I think Lane and Berto, Brad Loomis, Eric Helms, some of those guys, they really introduced the different types of linear progression and
Periodization.
periodizing your training and all this. And that's great, but I don't think each powerlifting movement necessarily is going to build muscle. I had this conversation with Kyle Glickman, another friend of mine, Jesse Carisco, and then Eugene Teo is actually the guy who put this up, and he's friends with John Meadows, just a brilliant mind, ton of good exercise information. I feel like everyone should follow him. But for me, I would train less like a power lifter, and that doesn't mean I'm just going to be a bitch on the machines either. You go on hammer strength press, put 4 plates on a side and still bust out, 10, 12 reps. And, but I think part of it was Berto and he's done so much good for the sport. It's incredible. But, he programs every single workout down to like his calf raises. He knows how many reps he's doing. And look, he's super successful. I'm not going to say that doesn't work, but he programs everything. And I think some people just either maybe they don't need that or they get too obsessed with it. They don't know what going to training to failure is. And I'm not an exercise physiologist. I'm not Eric Helms. I'm not Lane, any of these guys. I was a personal trainer, was certified. I studied kinesiology in college. That's what my degree was in. So a little bit of a background, not just some gym bro, but I think you need to find what works for you. And, for me, many years I was doing shitty bro style, then I was powerlifting style, and now I've made the most progress sort of letting the muscle do the work, but prioritizing around the squat, deadlift, and bench, but not in the 2 to 5 rep range. I don't think that's ideal for hypertrophy. Now you take someone, I don't even want to use names, but you just take some of the top guys in WWF, or the NPC IFBB, I don't think it matters what they do. They're going to see progress. So it's hard to compare. It's not apples to apples, So for me, what I would change is my style of training. I would do more in the 12 to 15 rep. I also would diet longer. I used to only diet for like 16, 17 weeks. I would probably diet, 22 weeks. I don't think these 40-week preps are ideal. Some people say they are. Jeff Alberts, it works for him. He's been dieting, I think, like for 50 weeks. And I think he did that a couple of years ago too. More power to him. And I don't know if it's like that super, super hard dieting or if it's like minus 2 grams of carbs a week or whatever. And his lifestyle, I guess, allows him to do that. Brandon Wattis Patrick Mabe crushed this season. Awesome. He dieted 42 weeks. Supplement sales rep for Core Nutritionals. Dieted forever. I couldn't do that. Just not ever with my job. Even if I worked administratively, the fact that I commute 2 hours a day, it's just not feasible ever. So 20 weeks, 22 weeks, I would diet a little longer, a little slower, less cardio. So probably that's the only thing I change. Is just my training would be smarter, and I would diet just 4 or 5 weeks longer. Because my personal opinion, and some people disagree with me, I don't think you should get fat in the off season. I don't think you should be shredded, but I don't think you should be 40, 50 pounds whether you're on drugs or not.
So then, Jared, so let's say someone is relatively pretty shredded on stage at like 160 pounds. What should they be off season then?
I don't know. I don't see them needing to be above 180, right?
So you think 20 pounds above stage weight?
It's hard because everyone carries it differently. My abs are pretty lean all year round. That's not a judge of anything. My shoulders are pretty lean. My middle back has veins in it. This isn't humble bragging. This is just me literally discussing it with you. But my legs look 30 weeks out almost all year. So it's funny because it's my glutes and hams and quads and everything get shredded when I used to compete. but it took me a lot of digging, 45, 50, 55 minutes of cardio, which some people are like scared about to do that. Oh, I'm going to lose muscle. You're natural. You're going to lose muscle no matter what.
That's funny.
True.
Jared, who do you think the best natural bodybuilder is? Either
Walking.
today, hands down, pound for pound. Who do you think the best out there is? I mean, give me your top three then.
Michael Hearn. uh,
Yeah.
Simeon Panda, and then that Asian guy, Chol Sun, who's can't fit through doors. But no, none of those guys. Listen, Doug Miller. I mean, he's never failed a drug test. He's an absolute freak, brain, just a genius, and has supplements at hand. He's creating supplements, not just to sell. And maybe now he's entering that next level where he's making good money with these supplements. But he created that brand because he's a bright mind and he wanted to make things that were better. And his products are still freaking good. They're really good. His flavors are good. His pre-workout, his pumps, his he's got cortisol products for women more so, sleep products. So it's probably Doug. After him, I mean, Brian Whitaker, Siobhan, his records unparalleled. This guy Levi Burge trains like an animal. I love that type of raw. Doesn't respond to people on Instagram. Has like 200 followers. Just beast. I saw him in person, one of the freakiest people. So if I had to round out like a top five, like Doug, Brian, Levi Burge, Siobhan, and one of the freakiest people I ever saw compete was Martin Daniels. I mean, the guy's like 5'9", 200 in muscle, 220 pounds of muscle, whatever the hell he is. I think he's an IFBB pro now. I saw him at the Worlds when he took second to Richard Godrecki from England, who came back after putting 30 pounds on and 5% less body fat in 1 year. Weird. And beat Martin Daniels. And Martin Daniels just, if that guy ever used drugs, he'd be top 2 in the world with Phil Heath and Kai Green. Just freak. And another military guy. So, you got to respect the service with these guys too. And Philip Ricardo, I mean, he's one of the only guys I think who's ever beaten Doug.
Yeah.
His type of condition. I mean, I don't know how he shaves like around his quad veins. Like they're like 2 inches.
They're like unreal. Yeah, they're unreal.
So that'd be the top 5 right now. And that's not to say, Brett Freeman's looking to probably win his second Bantam WMBF title. Brett repping New York. Just real guy.
Wayne Corbett. All right, Brett.
Yeah. So that would probably round out the current top 5. I'm not huge into history. Like I know Berto and Eric, they go back into some of the guys from the 80s, but in my time era, Whitaker and Doug just right there. And then you can't forget, I can't pronounce his last name, Valentine, whatever. He takes long periods off, and when he comes in, he's like a Lee Haney, like a natural Lee Haney, just a freak.
Yeah. Jared, before we go, what does your training split look like, and what supplements are you currently taking right now?
I currently have a coupon code for Morphogen Nutrition, JPPD. Quick little plug. I don't think anyone uses it. I don't even know why he gave it to me. But Ben makes Morphogen Nutrition. Really, really good, complete products. Everything on his page is $48. He has protein, isolate, sleep products, cortisol products, test boosting products, fat burners, if you're going to use them for cardio or whatever, stimulant free, things with, 8 grams of L-citrulline, just things other people aren't doing, and just insane. So right now I take a pre-workout, I take a protein powder, and every now and then I rotate every 3rd month a joint supplement from Ben. It's called Orthogen, super complete, just sort of helps me. Training split, it's completely dependent on work. Last night I came into a job where I had some counterfeit money, had to do a supervisor's report for that, so I ended up working a 10-hour tour, hour and 30 minutes extra, didn't get home till 2 o'clock. Didn't really sleep that well. Had to wake up, feed the baby, so my wife gets some sleep. And then I went to the gym, killed my leg workout. But it's instinctive, unfortunately, right now. It's just, I worked a marathon last week that worked 30 hours straight. There was no gym in there. There's no way you're fitting the gym in there, ever. So it's it's based around deadlifting, high reps. Anything above 8, in my opinion, Um, Squats, not the primary movement for me. I'm a huge believer in lunges, Jeffersons, full range of motion, slow and controlled leg press. I don't think, going like this does anything. You need to bring that shit down, controlled, push it back up. Lunges, no one does them. They're fucking hard. That's why the hardest part is literally just jerking over your head onto your back. Love them. Jeffersons, saw Kai Green do them, and if you never tried them, they destroy your adductors, your glutes, you feel it in your quads a little bit. And like I said, Kyle Glickman, another plug. Kyle, he helps me a lot with my training. He's just such a bright mind. So it's instinctive. Do I think powerlifting is the key for natural bodybuilding? No, I don't. Do I think bro reps are the key? No, I think you have to find what works for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you've tried out. Me and you have talked about this for 10 years. You've tried out a million different styles, and I think we're all still learning. You know what I mean? And then you start throwing in life, and it's hard to, and at the other end, you might have a guy like Berto or Eric Helms who would say, I would benefit more from something with periodization, percentages, RPs. But until you walk and do what I do, and same thing like military guys or people with unexpected schedules, maybe some night nurses, some doctors, where there's high stress and unexpected changes in the daily routine, it's hard to program anything, in my opinion. So, I know Doug Miller sort of goes off that he has a split, but if he gets in there and something doesn't feel right, whatever. So for me right now, it's based around deadlifting and how my back feels. Like I said, I commute into the city. I'm in a car at work, and then I'm in a car on my way into work for 10 plus hours a week, just getting to and from. So I'm in this position that I'm in now. So I have very, very tight hips, lower back. So it has to be instinctive. And now I got this baby. There's some nights I'm not sleeping. So that's another thing. When you have a family, a lot of people get wrapped up, and it's not for everybody. Some people, it's everything happens at different times. But when you start having that, I've been with my wife for 7.5 years. We've lived together for 6.5 of them. I have a baby. It's different things you have to prioritize. The gym is not everything. And for me, and maybe I don't know how many people are going to listen to this. Maybe some of your videos get in the 2000s. Maybe some people are going to look at my face and say, I don't want to listen. Maybe 5 other people view this, but the thing that helped me the most was not having someone in the fitness world as my significant other. When it doesn't go to the gym, sort of eats like an unsupervised 6-year-old, but still she looks absolutely awesome. She lost all her baby weight already 4 weeks later. It's like there was never anything growing in her. But having that, she has just helped me balance out. And I think that's what more people in the fitness world need to go after, is finding almost like an opposite to this, because it could just be very self-absorbing, and it's not fair to the other person either, especially us as guys. Your testosterone started dipping, your libido's down. That's not fair to them. It just isn't. You know what I mean? And to be thinking about food versus what your wife, your girlfriend, fiance, whoever might be feeling, it's not right. So I think you have to be able to prioritize when's a good time to compete. And I think that's why, like Doug Miller, he takes so much time off. Doug could come back and probably at 10 weeks out win any show, NPC, whatever, just dominate. But he's building a business. He's got 2 kids. Like, he's doing what's right for him. Brian Whitaker, 3 kids, professor, taking time off. You have to. There's just more to it. There's just more to life. I don't think of being a bodybuilder, even if that's your source of income, should define you. Like, there should be more to you. Whether it doesn't matter if you are just in the fitness industry, as how you have your business. You've been training people for years, and now you've got this successful meal prep business, or how Kyle personal trains. There should be more to the person, in my opinion, than just a competitor. And the people who just are a competitor and their social media thing says some type of natural federation, ABCDQRS, pro bodybuilder, when you want to show with 3 people in it, and you don't have any plans or whatever. There's just more to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree, Jared. It's been a great interview. If someone was to come to me tomorrow or today and said, and I love the sport, hey Joe, I need you never to compete again, so Jared would compete again, I would definitely say yes to that. Just, you know what, Jared? Just because you train right now harder than most pros do, and you follow the sport.
But here's my thing, and I'll interrupt you real quick. What's the difference between me, you, or a pro who has elite genetics that it just comes so much easier? You know, it's like it's almost not even relative. Like who's to determine who trains hardest, who trains harder?
True.
So or what's a pro? You know you now I see plenty of guys, and I'll sort of end with this, but there's with the whole natural bodybuilding is dead thing. Pro bodybuilding is not dead. These guys keep getting better.
Oh
Keep
yeah,
getting
the
better.
proceeds better and better.
Ranks shot.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's not. And that's no insult to you. I know you've had a bunch of second places. That's not like saying, oh, it's shot. It's
Yeah.
different shows. That's the thing with pro bodybuilding versus other sports. You have a script on other sports like football. You like when the Patriots play the Jets, they know they're going to crush them. They know they know who's coming, who their players are, who's injured, whatnot. You go to a bodybuilding show, and in 1 week, or seasons, it just changes. States. You go to freaking New Mexico, maybe you'll smoke a class, and you go down to a show. These shows in the city, Natural Mania, Hercules. Those are historically good shows. Really,
Yeah.
really tough shows. That one out in California, Muscle Mayhem.
California, the Muscle Mayhem.
Tough show. It's tough out there versus that's the thing with natural bodybuilding. You can win your pro card at a really, really shitty show, or you could, it could take you a long, long time. Brett Freeman freaking he took second, third, fourth, fifth his whole 2011 year. Looked insane. Probably could have won a lot of lightweight pro shows. Just kept running into freak after freak after freak after freak. So that's what I've always hated about natural bodybuilding. There's no criteria, first place, as long as you have enough guys in your class, you could be on the stage with 5 guys who just lost 300 pounds, have flabby skin everywhere, and those could be the 4 guys you're competing against, and you turn pro because of who your competition is.
True.
And I guess you could say that at the pro level too. There's some years it's watered down or whatever, but at the amateur level, and the Itamasi's had a couple. They've had some really, really freaks turn pro, and they've had some really shitty people turn pro recently. So it's hard to say. You know what I mean? They had one guy. He was like, A, he wasn't lean, and B, he was out of shape. He got crushed at his pro debut, and I see him put gym videos up, like incline dumbbell pressing 45 pounds. Like they just that pro card should have been revoked. It should have been revoked. He had no right winning pro card. It was just a shot show, and I spoke to them, and I don't even know if they're going to watch this, if they're going to backlash, whatever. The numbers were down at that show, and this guy still got a pro card. Versus like years when Sean Tidings, freak, Trevor, freak, Justin Draper, freak, Brett, freak, Ja Holt, 800 pounds on stage of solid muscle. This guy who just won the Yorton did, I think, one of their shows. Whatever his name is, Magnum.
Oh,
freak.
Magnum. Yeah.
So it's to have a pro card at every single show. I think it watered down what it means to be a pro. And I've seen Kent Beerley talk about this. Tim Martin, 2 guys I should have said 2 of the greatest naturals ever. Tim Martin and Kent Beerley. I think they spoke about they used to have to qualify to go to a pro qualifier. So you do sort of like how the NPC does it. You qualify at a local show, then you go to a bigger show, qualify again, and then you'd go on to try to win a pro card. I think they should bring that back. There's just too many federations. There's NGA, INBF, OCB. I think the OCB split with the IFPA at one point. DFAT, ANBF. Joe Cristiano shows, which were well run in Rochester, or whoever it is now. Maybe it's not him. Jerry Marsala. I know you've had problems, but his shows that I've been to, they run great. Good trophies, good goodie bags, good venues. Expensive, but nonetheless, it's a nice day for the competitors. You get judged fairly. But there's just too many federations, and I think that's a problem. You have a DFAC World Championship, WNBF World Championship, which I think is the only one that matters. The Yorton Cup. There's just so many different federations, and I know Doug has only stuck to the IFPA and the Yorton, and it doesn't matter where he goes, he's winning. But then, the Natural Olympia is coming up. you know, out in California, PNBA, which doesn't even like exist on the East Coast, so it doesn't even give these guys a fair shot.
True.
You know, I don't think there's ever been a PNBA or NBA show anywhere around
No.
here.
No.
You know, and and then you throw in Muscle Mania where the guys are allowed to take whatever the fuck they want and claim natural.
Well, Jared, I'd love to personally see you on stage again. Like I said, thank you for everything you've done for the sport and what you're doing for our country right now. Is there any last words you'd like to give anyone that's watching this?
Just, prioritize your life first before bodybuilding. And once you have that in check, come back to it. And I think that should go with a lot of everything. I'm not just talking about money, family, friends, whatever. You just need to figure. My biggest regret was focusing too hard on bodybuilding in college and not focusing on school as much. I think there's any few young listeners that might be listening, depending on how many people watch this, is to focus on school. Because those are growing years anyway, and those are party years, those are the girl years. Like, enjoy your college experience, because I dieted through 2 years, and it was, even though it was only 16 weeks both times, when you're 18 years old, and 19 or whatever I was, it's really tough. It doesn't matter how much support you have. So thank God I had that support and like that group of people that were also competing. Otherwise, I would have been screwed, man, because you're trying to balance school. I was working in college, relationships with girls, friends, trying to party. You only got 4 years of college, so I'm trying to balance all that. Not easy. So, my best advice in closing is just compete. The stage it's never going anywhere. Bodybuilding's been around. There's been stage since the 50s, maybe earlier. And like I said, there's so many natural federations. It's like, whether it's the spring, usually it kicks off in March through like May, and then again in the fall, September through like the end of November. There's shows like everywhere if you're willing to drive like 5 hours. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you're in Bumblefuck, Nebraska. There's shows everywhere. There really are. There's shows. The stage will always be there. So
True.
That's that. So
all right, Jared. Well, thank you for the interview.
yeah,
I
man.
hope we have a part 2 to this.
Yeah, dude, you gotta now that you're hopefully done, you gotta get down here. We're going to the city, eat some good food, train at some gyms, meet my son. It'll be good. And I'm trying to get Kyle down here. He actually just sent me like a card. So if he happens to listen to this, I would love to get like a little Western New York party down here. You guys can bring some Paula's donuts, some buffalo wings. It'd be a good time.
Sounds great. Sounds great, brother. Jared, thank you again.
All right, Joe. Let me know when this is posted. Ship me a text.
Sounds good. Later,
All right,
brother.
bro. Later.